morning of September 11th, Commissioner Nolan and I and our team from Territorial Headquarters went down to review the disaster scene. When we arrived, a fireman had just come out of the pit. He looked at me and he said, "Salvation Army, do you have some water?" And I said, "I'll get you some." And he said, "Get some for my buddy here. He needs it more than I do." So I ran around to our canteen and got 2 bottles of water, ran back, and just caught them in time. They were going back in without the water. As a Christian, I believe that nothing happens by accident. In the quiet details of life, you can see the hand of God. That's the case for this worker who found fused metal that was in the perfect shape of a cross.
I haven't seen daylight in this place. There was total darkness just a few moments ago. And lo and behold, I seen 4 crosses depicting the outline of Calvary in this whole atrium. And Christ's cross was right there up front. And it really moved me. There was a good, eerie feeling. And like if you felt God reach into myself and comforting me from the sorrow of death that I had just experienced. And he moved me to the point where I just fell to my knees and cried.
So that cross is very important. It's a symbol that from these ashes will rise a stronger, a greater, more spiritually sensitive nation.
The attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon have been a travesty of human hatred that has brought our world community together. It has shown us the power of human compassion and the need that we have as people for one another.
The whole time there were people handing things out. You really didn't know where it was coming from. You just were glad to get it.
The Salvation Army was there making hot food for all the relief workers.
The first time I walked into the dome, the bubble, I was just stunned at what I saw. You know, the setup that they had and the food was fantastic.
The folks in those canteens couldn't do enough for you. You know, what do you need? What can we get for you? If we don't have it here, we'll try to figure out where we can get it.
The counselors that were there, you know, they let us know that they were available to talk or even to pray.
Everything that was being done by the Salvation Army and the Salvationists was done to help the rescue workers do their job.
The guys would be coming down with partially melted soles. The Army would come down, the guy would sit down, they would take off the boot and replace new ones on there.
Without the comforts, without the comfort food, without the comfort clothes, without any of the comforts, they couldn't have done their job because they would have burned out so quickly.
They're true to their cause, the salvation. Without them, man might have not been so lucky at this devastation. We might have been a little more to the weary than less to the weary.
What if there were no Salvation Army? What if, back in 1865, William Booth had given up the fight and decided not to go on? In the event of a disaster, who would we rely on for aid? Who would the victims go to for relief and counseling? Fortunately, we don't have to answer these questions. The Salvation Army is here to stay.
When you talk about the Salvation Army, here's a bunch of people from the day I walked onto that site to this present day has done nothing but show me devotion, the ultimate word of love, the ultimate word of support, the ultimate word of God.
On the West Side Highway, thank God for the Salvation Army because there was nothing to eat. And you would just starve. And every time you saw that truck, you know, there was water and there was food.
They have the dedication that they realize that they can make a difference. That's why the Army endures, is its people. And that's why I, again, say thanks for what they've done for us.
You know, you're on a cold street in the middle of the night. There wasn't anybody watching you extinguish this fire. You always could count on that there would be a Salvation Army truck fired up with hot coffee and drinks and Oreo cookies to give to the members.
Their forces are unstoppable. They get the least amount of recognition.
They're not blowing their horn. They're not sitting there putting advertisements on TV. They're just down there every day doing the job.
I don't know if God created a kind word for them, except for salvation. It's in their name, and it's an army.
You know, we're not in the business of being a slick fundraising machine or in the business of doing public relations. It's our business to serve. That's why we're the Salvation Army.